So here's the next part. While those long lines and passenger frustrations are stretching across the country, the nation's capital is now ground zero for the battle over DHS funding, which again has caused this whole issue with the TSA and airports. And breaking news tonight, by the way, a short time ago, the Senate confirming Markwayne Mullin as the new Homeland Security Secretary. The final vote, 54 to 45, 2 Democrats, John Fetterman, Martin Einrich, voting for Mullin. You had 1 Republican, Rand Paul, voting no. Not a shocker. Saw that back and forth from last week. Now, more on how that can impact the DHS funding fight and TSA in a moment. We'll get to that. But also tonight, there was a group of Republican senators meeting with President Trump to discuss this stalemate, as, by the way, both the House and the Senate, they're scheduled to start a 2-week vacation this Friday. Well, TSA officers remain unpaid, so this just adds urgency to the growing problem. And while that battle rages on here at home, what's happening abroad? Missiles are still raining down on the Middle East. Today, CENTCOM releasing new video showing U.S. forces striking Iranian military targets. But President Trump is backing down a little bit, postponing strikes on Iran's power plants after claiming that he talked with Iran about a resolution to the fighting.
They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance.
Here's the problem. Iranian officials are calling that fake news, denying that they had any negotiations with the United States. Trump responded to that, said that certain Iranian officials are just confused because there's a disruption in their communication network. Now, I will tell you, that didn't seem to matter when it came to oil prices, okay? I want you to take a look at this. What happened today? They tumbled after President Trump delayed those strikes on Iran's energy infrastructure. Brent crude oil fell close to 11% to $99.94 per barrel. Now, look at that right there. That's after topping $112 last Friday. It's the biggest single-day drop since March 10th. Stocks, let's talk about that. Okay, so they also rallied today. The Dow closed up 631 points. The NASDAQ, S&P also rose almost 300, almost 75. And we're going to get more into the latest on the war and its impacts in a minute. But again, we got to go back to what is on the minds of many Americans right now during this busy travel season, the chaos at our airports. So the Trump administration sending ICE agents to 14 airports today. That includes Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International. We saw a similar scene over at New York's JFK International Airport, and also in New Jersey, ICE was deployed to Newark Liberty International. But how long is this going to last? Is there any end in sight? For that, I want to go right now to NewsNation's Libby Dean, live in Washington. Libby, always good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. Okay, let's start with the airports. Let's start with DHS funding. What is the latest? What is the latest word from the White House? And by the way, now that we see Markwayne Mullin has been confirmed, how does that impact the debate?
Well, Jesse, I think Mullin is certainly, that confirmation there is a piece of the puzzle here, because the White House, what we had heard from them today, was they were going to hold up any negotiations with Democrats on DHS funding until Mullin was confirmed. Now, Mullin, he actually was at the White House today before he was confirmed over in the Senate, and there was this really important meeting with GOP senators about DHS funding. Also, Tom Homan, who is President Trump's border czar, was in the room for that. Following that, it does seem like there was some progress made. These senators came back from the White House to Capitol Hill saying that a deal could happen soon. We don't have a timeline on that yet, and nothing written as far as we know, Jesse.
Complicated by the fact that there was reporting that the Republicans had proposed this kind of off-ramp to reopen TSA, and apparently the president rejected that?
Interestingly enough, it seems what we're hearing from these senators is a version of that deal actually seems to be what's taking shape again over in the Senate. This vote on DHS funding, separating it from ICE funding. So TSA would be, of course, included in that. But the big thing here is separating out ICE funding. Now, as far as the president's rejection goes that you mentioned there, I mean, he said he doesn't want a deal to fund DHS until the Save America Act is passed. He said he was going to hold up anything that crossed his desk until that was passed. But what we've heard from the Senate Majority Leader, of course, John Thune, he said that it would be unrealistic to link these two together, the Save America Act and getting a DHS funding across the finish line.
It's complicated, and I wonder now if he has tied himself to that in some way. I want to move over to Iran. What is the latest on this back and forth between the president and Iranian leaders? Are they really negotiating, or aren't they?
Look, all day today, Jesse, we heard from the president who said that these negotiations were taking place, even saying that they were going really well. But what we heard from the Iranians was that these negotiations weren't taking place at all. But I was speaking with a White House official today who told me that President Trump spoke with an army chief in Pakistan. And what that signals here is that Pakistan is doing some of the mediating within these talks that we're seeing take place, according to the president. And that is going to be key here, as we've seen the Gulf states kind of take a back seat. Of course, you remember the Omani foreign minister was really key in these negotiations that were happening before this war started. Now they're kind of taking that back seat, and you're seeing countries like Pakistan potentially a step up here. But what the president has said is these negotiations are taking place. He set this timeline of 5 days for the Iranians to make a deal here. It's pretty unclear what that deal is, though, at this point, Jesse.
Yeah, look, this changes rapidly day to day, and I will tell you, it's also very hard to get a straight answer from the Iranians and whether or not they're telling the truth about what's happening. Sure, the president said there could be a disruption in communication network, but it could also be they might not just be telling the truth about what's happening behind the scenes. I mean, we did with the Israeli and American operation, the supreme leader was taken out. So it puts them in a very difficult position. Libby Dean, great to see you. Thanks for taking the time, as always.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.